I'm here with the lead guitarist of one of the most important metal bands nowadays, the great Michael Paget. How are you, Page?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm fine. I haven't mentioned, but lead guitarist of the great Bullet For My Valentine, who's the band which is about to release their 7th studio album. Are you excited about this release, Page?
I really am. Yeah, I really am. We've put our heart and soul into this record, and we've beaten quite a many odds to get it written and recorded in these very, very unusual times. So can't wait to get it out. You know, it's I think it's one of our best albums, definitely the heaviest, and excited to get out. Yeah, we want to unleash it on the world now. You know, we did postpone it slightly due to what's happening in the world, but it's time now. So
fantastic. And is it fair to say that because it's the heaviest Bullet For My Valentine album, you guys decided to name it after the band? Is it somehow related?
It just felt like the right time, you know. We was like, well, what should we call it? And I was just like, just call it, you know, Bullet For My Valentine. Just let's do it. We've never done a self-titled album, and you know, I think this album's a real statement. So it just made sense to me anyway to call it that. So I guess we just went with that. Yeah, it just feels like the right time to do that. You know, it just seems like this is the album.
And how is the writing and recording process of this album, and how is it different from your previous one? Of course, as you mentioned, it's all done during a very unusual time, but I suppose that most of the album was already written before the pandemic started, no?
No. We started writing in 2018, I think. We had a bunch of songs, though. We had about 15 ideas demoed up. We went back on tour and then finished tour 2019, and then the pandemic hit in March 20. So we just figured, let's keep writing somehow, because in the UK there's 4 different states, what do they call it? 4 different countries, but we're all called the UK. So we have borders, and that was tricky because certain countries were locking down, others were open. You couldn't cross the border, you couldn't go. It was really difficult, but fortunately I've got a studio at my place. Matt could go to the studio in England, up in Carl's place. Jace can write. He's got a setup in his garage. Jamie's got a little setup in his house as well. So we found a way around it, and fortunately it was really good because it gave us more time to write, give us more focus on what we wanted to write. When the rules, you know, eased slightly, Matt came down to my place for a few weeks to write down here. So the pandemic benefited us. It really benefited us in such a positive way that let's have another one. So another pandemic in 2 years, we'll write another record.
So was the pandemic like a real challenge for you? Was it a burden, or in a way a relief, because you guys have been touring extensively in the last years? Like, were you somehow glad to be at home a little longer this time?
At the beginning, it was all kind of weird, but at the beginning it was like, oh great, time off. But you know, it just dragged on, and it's like, you know, this is weird. You know, we can't tour because touring's you know, it's a very profitable, well, not profitable, but you know, that's where we make a lot of our money as well. So obviously that was off the table, but you know, it definitely gave us time to focus more on the record, and I think that was the most important thing. You know, hopefully live music will come back, hopefully soon, but for the most part, it really benefited this record. And you know, it was difficult at first, like I said, because of the lockdowns and certain people couldn't go certain places, but we found ways around it, and you know, it just worked out really well. It benefited us so much. And when it came to actually record the album and push record, everybody knew what they were doing. Everybody was, 100% up on their things, and it just made for a really more streamlined recording process. It was, I think it's the easiest record we've ever recorded. Well, for me anyway, I don't do the vocals and stuff, but yeah, really, really smooth. Although it took ages from starting writing to finishing recording, the actual recording process was easy. It was done in like 6 weeks.
Fantastic. And how is the touring? How much are you guys looking forward to this tour? I know you announced concerts already. Is this like are you as excited as you were when you're beginning your career?
I'll tell you, we played Download in June, just a one-off pilot festival. I was absolutely terrified because we haven't done it since November the 30th, 2019. I guess it was that was this year, so it's a year and a half. And I was terrified, man. And then you come off stage and it's like, right, that's it. You don't do that now. You go back to being locked in your house and doing nothing for another 6 months. So it's a really strange way, just building up 2 weeks week rehearsal. Well, I do a week before. I rehearse before rehearsal. I do. So it was 2 weeks rehearsal for me, just for an hour and 15, and then nothing. So it's a really long drawn out process. I can't wait to do a tour, just rehearse and then go out and play, every night or whatever. That's what I love. But yeah, really looking forward to the UK. I love touring the UK because everything just feels normal. Well, everything from accents to food to your favorite bar. I just love it. I know where I am in the UK. You're never too far from home as well, because I get a little homesick. So really looking forward to that, and hopefully everything goes ahead. So
yes, we all hope the same, and we hope that you guys can visit us in Brazil. You have a lot of fans here. And tell me about the Army of Noise. Is it a place, a marketplace for fans? Did you guys do that?
In the Army of Noise Patreon? Yeah. Again, because of the lockdowns, we figured that it'd be the right time to do that now, because I mean, everyone was just shut at home, right? And so if we have an internet-based sort of fan club where people can talk amongst each other about Bullet things and share things, and we can jump on Discord, and it just felt like the right time, because nobody was doing anything. So we wanted to get that going as quickly as we could for the fans, and it's been really good. We've I know a couple of boys are more active on there than I am, but we've also been doing playthroughs and stuff like that. Jace has done some drum playthroughs. I've done some guitar playthroughs. So they'll be coming through also. It's just a really, really good thing for the fans, I think, and at the end of the day, we wouldn't be doing this without them. So giving something back has always been important to us,
That's great. And changing the subject, Page, coming from Bridgend, a small town in Wales, how likely was for a band like Bullet For My Valentine to break all over the world, especially in the US, which is a very difficult market to become successful? You guys made it. And did you guys ever imagine that you'd be making it that far?
No, I didn't. I think Moose and Matt, they were really, because it was kind of their band right at the beginning, but they were like, oh, we're going to be famous. We're going to be, a big rock band. And I was like, whatever, doing my regular day job, and rehearsing and in the nights once I come home. So I was like, yeah, whatever.
What was your day job?
Oh man, I was a service boy in a upholstery factory. So we'd have a line with four guys upholsterers, you know, and I'd bring them all the frames, the arms, the leather, the staples, all of the bits and pieces. So whatever they needed, I'd go and get it. But I used to enjoy it. I used to love it. Then they gave me a promotion, so I used to fill the cushions, these big things here, and then we got the deal, and then it was like, I just got a record deal. I'm gonna have to finish. What do you mean? I was like, I don't know. I don't know what it means, but you know, we gonna get signed by a record label and have a 5-album recording deal. So they started laughing. I had no idea what to expect, but I think we also had a bit of luck, as everyone needs a bit of luck. But yeah, our feet didn't touch the ground, man, and it's been a hell of a journey. So, you know, in hindsight, looking back, you know, from where I am now to where I was, it's been incredible, you know, and I wouldn't change a thing. It's been awesome. I you know, I'm blessed every day with what we've achieved, what we've seen, you know, all the traveling and you know, touring with some of our favorite biggest bands all around the world. It's been awesome, and you know, I could die tomorrow knowing that I've really achieved some of my wildest dreams ever.
Oh, you still have a lot to go, but as you're saying, mentioning luck, there's a little bit of luck, a lot of hard work, a lot of talent, and you guys certainly deserve it. Do you feel that you're somehow a role model to the kids in Wales, to kids that look up to you and look at you and think that they can make it because you guys did it?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm very grounded though, you know, and a lot of, you know, there's a lot of kids and stuff. Oh my God, it's Pads from Bullet. It doesn't, when I'm at home, it doesn't, I don't really see myself as that person, you know. I got time for everybody, you know, if they want to take a picture, or if they want me to, you know, do a birthday video message or whatever, like, it's not a problem, you know. I'm a very grounded person, but I think it's positive that, you know, I inspire, you know, we inspire people. It's good to inspire people and, you know, sort of invigorate their dreams, and sort of, you know, if they look up to you as a person and want to be like you, then that's good. But be careful.
You mentioned you played with your favorite artists, and I mean, you always mentioned, you know, Iron Maiden, Metallica. Do you still like, are you still a fan? Like, do you still see yourself as a music fan when you see James Hetfield or Steve Harris, or is it already normal to you, like, to hang out with those guys, or to meet those guys, or to play with them when you're touring with them?
No, it blows my mind. I freeze up. I do. I'm not very good in that situation. Like Matt, you know, Matt and the other guys, they'll happily just chat away to him. I'm in the corner like, it's fucking Steve Harris. Or, you know, it's James Hetfield. It's like, terrified. But yeah, lucky enough to meet them all. But yeah, I'm still a massive fanboy.
And is there any band that you're a fan of that you haven't played with yet?
Someone asked us the other day, man. We've played with a lot of our heroes, you know, and that it's amazing. But I think there's loads more to achieve, and, you know, we have toured with most of them, though. I don't know. That's a tough question, because, you know, we've been doing this 15, 16 years now. So I think we've ticked a lot of boxes. So that's great.
That's great. Now you can relax and just enjoy the ride and stuff.
Yeah.
But you guys play the biggest metal festivals ever, and also I saw you guys in New York last time we met, and you did like a sold out show indoors, and you feel the whole room jumping and moshing. Do you prefer the big festivals or the indoor shows where the headline shows that you see the people, you can look people in the eye, or 100,000 people in the audience? What do you prefer?
I think I like them both. I like I do like the sweaty, intimate ones where you can see the whites of their eyes, you know, because you can connect a bit more. I feel, you know, when if a fan is singing at me from the front row, I'll latch onto his or her eyes and sing back together, you know, so we get a connection, or I can actually reach them and touch fists or something. But you know, I do love the big festivals as well, where you just got your stage time. You have to be ready by then. You walk on, boom, smash it, and then get off. Kind of what just happened. But they're all fun, man. You know, I tell you what I do like is like the tiny ones, 100 people. You know, they are slamming. They are.
And Page, what have you been listening to lately? Any new tips or of new bands or bands that you want to suggest the kids to pay attention to?
Well, I was listening to Elvis last night.
What's that? Sorry?
Elvis. So I've been learning some Elvis. I've been managing a local band recently called Florence Black, and they're not you know, sort of traditionally heavy metal. They're more sort of classic rock, and they got some great songs, you know. And although, you know, I'm close to them, they're my friends, and I'm looking after them. You know, they got some great music, and yeah, they're really interesting. I do love the lighter side of rock, you know. So I like it all, you know. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Elvis. I was listening to Kanye West like the other day and stuff. So all sorts, but yeah.
Yeah, having an open mind enriches your repertoire and makes you more creative, I suppose. As an artist, you can't have any kind of prejudice, right?
Yeah. I love it all, man. I don't like techno or dance, though. It's really weird.
But man, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the album. I listened to it, you know, before this interview and last night, and it's a fucking heavy Bullet For My Valentine style album. I love it. I can't wait to see you guys here in Brazil again, and hope you have a fantastic tour in the UK, and be safe. And thank you for the music, man.
No worries. Thank you, sir. Take it easy.
Okay.